Hi everybody, it's Tracy here from Bang the Table. Thanks for joining us today. I've got Pip and Joe on the line as well, and I can see that we've got a few clients still joining. I can see Dave and Jade. Hi guys, nice of you to join us. We've still got a few more people left to join, but we might just get started. So we're doing a new feature demonstration today, which is very exciting. So this session is being recorded, and we'll send it out to anybody who couldn't make it or who needs to drop off the call. On the call today with me, we've got Joe and Pip. So Joe is going to take us through our new tools. So there's about 6 new tools that we're going to get through. Joe's works in our client experience team, and probably you've had some exposure to Joe through the help desk through helping with technical and strategic advice. And Pip's going to show us through our new analytics. Well, we've recently done some upgrades to the EHQ analytics, and Pip's going to walk us through some of those and to help us understand them a bit more. So we'll be passing on to them. So a couple of housekeeping rules, but really a way for us to manage the call so that we can get all the questions answered. So I can see that there's a couple of you that have joined by your mic and speakers, which is great. And there's also an option to contact us via the telephone. As I said, I've got you currently all muted so that we can just remove background noise. But if we can, we'll go through all of the demo of the 6 tools, and after each tool is demonstrated, we'll stop for taking a few questions on each one. But we need to just be mindful that we've only got a couple of probably about 6 or 7 minutes per tool, and then we'll go on to reporting. So if you do have any questions that sort of arise during the session, you can type them into the questions panel on your screen, or you can raise your hand on the panel as well, and we'll get to those and unmute you when we get to the question and answers. And everybody just that's on the call, give me a little in your chat screen below, on your questions screen, just say, hey, I can see there's a couple more people that have joined. We've got Sheila that's now on the call. So before we get started, I just want to make sure everyone can see. I've got Cliff. Hey, Cliff. So we've also got our general manager of our Indian operations on the call, which is great. Wonderful. Okay. Well, I'm going to try and now pass over to Joe. So this is where the magic happens, and he'll start taking us through our tools. And as I said, at the end of each presentation, we'll stop to take on some questions. So Joe, I'm going to change to you and see how we go. Let's see. There we go. Have you got it now, Joe?
Yeah, just a second. Awesome. So yeah, thanks Tracy for that. Let's jump right into it. So the first tool we want to look at today is the new tool, which is called the Mapper. So the Mapper is a tool that really enables you to sort of talk and consult with your community around a certain area by using a map, as you can already see here. And you can use it to get a bit of location-specific input, if you will. So this side, you'll say Batman, is what we used for our Big Bang conference not too long ago. And we've enabled a map here, and I just want to showcase how it looks. So this is the area of the map that we as an admin had selected. So I'm looking at it as a participant right now. If I wanted to engage with it, I would just go to click here on Go to Map. That would take me a bit of a bigger window so you can see it. And you can see there's already 3 markers set by our participants, and as a participant in the map, I can now click on what other people have set. For example, here I can see Ray has said I want to skate here. There's another marker here. You can see Pip has made a comment about the Etihad Stadium. So I see there's already a bit of action happening. I just want to join in. So it's really easy. There's this big black box down on the left which says Add Marker. So if I click this, a purple marker will appear. In this case, purple means it has not been submitted yet, so I can still move it around. Fairly easy, just dragging it around. And if I might want to make a comment somewhere about the CBD, I just place it in central Melbourne, and then just click on the marker. here that will open a field, and I can give it a title that I've seen from the other markers. I can give it a bit of description, you know, whatever I want to say about this marker. For example, I could say, you know, I like this here, or this should be done differently here, or here should be a cafe, something along those lines. And then I can also give it a category. In this case, we have got 5 categories available. These are set by the admin, which I'll show you in a second. And once I'm done, I can just click on submit, and that will add my marker to the map. So let's have a look at how we set this up. We go into one of our project training sites. So in order to enable the map, as with any other tool, I would first have to select the project where the map should actually be shown. So in this case, this is the project that's already selected. As you know, I click on Tools to see which of my tools are enabled. At the moment, that's only Stories, which we'll talk about in a second. So I want to enable the map, which is down here. I simply tick the box, click on Save, and that will get me back to our Manage Projects section. And in here, you can see now there's the map has been added. So from here, I can go. Firstly, I could rename the tool if I wanted to. Or can straight into Manage section, which I might do. And here I've set up a map yesterday already just to prepare for this. So if you want to set up a new map, you just click on Add in the top right-hand corner here. Now let's work with this map because it's already here. I can just go into Manage, and this is where I set some of the parameters for my map. So I give it a name. I give it a bit of description, which will appear right under the map. So in this area, you want to give a bit of information what this map is all about, or what you want your participants to actually do here. So you really set the scene for your participants. You can change, you can, as with other tools as well, you can truncate the description if it's fairly long. You can also change the permalink to make it a bit shorter or easier to remember if you want to give it to people, if you want to use it in emails. And then down here, I can actually select the region of the map that I want to show my participants on the site. So I'm based in Perth, as some of you might know, so I've just selected Perth. And it's simply, again, a matter of dragging and dropping around and then zooming in and zooming out. So whatever I see here will be shown on the site. So I want to be quite specific about my selection for my participants. So for example, here, if I want to have input on the Perth CBD, I would probably zoom in quite a bit. In here, maybe leave it like that. And then I can set those categories. And these categories are the ones I've just shown you. When you set a new marker on the side, you can select those categories, and then the participant can categorize their marker into one of these categories. So in this case, I've selected parks. There are a couple of parks here in the CBD, so that can still be used. If I want to allow and verify participation, I just tick this box. This means that our participants, as you probably know, they can set their marker even without having to verify the email address. So if that's an option you want to use, you just tick this box. Let's leave it unticked for now. Click on Update. There's one more step in the Manage before I actually look at on the cell. Get a couple of questions that are attached to that map. So every time somebody sets a marker, they would then see this question displayed. So we can actually have a bit of a short survey or get some more information from our participants when they set a marker, more than just the text they give us. So rather than just having qualitative data, we also can obtain some quantitative data. For example, here I've just asked how often are you here? And it's quite important to know that the information that your participant will give you in this little survey will only go to you and to your database. So it's not visible in the actual marker to anybody else. And then with, as you know, with the other tools as well, I've got email configuration options here. So if I want to get an email sent to myself to notify me that there's been a marker added, I can tick this box, and also I can send an acknowledgement to the participants via email to acknowledge them that yes, your marker has been received. So let's have a look at how this map actually looks on the site. So this is the site. You can see it's not enabled here. I just need to refresh it. And there it is, it appeared. So you can see that's the area I've selected before, and so it's the Perth CBD. To open the actual tool, I once again go into the map. I can then add my marker as I've done before. Just drag it here into Kings Park. click on it, it will open. I can, as before, I can give it a title. I can give it, can say what I actually want to say. Then I can categorize it according to those categories I said before: small park, big park, tiny park. And then if we scroll down, you can see there's this little survey question I asked. So the asterisk obviously means this is a mandatory question. But as I said before, this information actually just goes to you as an admin, so it won't be in the marker for anybody else to see. Yes, and this is how you use the map. Tracy, you want to add anything to this?
No, Joe, I think you've got it all. Yes, it's fantastic. And if anyone has any questions, feel free to just raise your hand on the marker, and we can unmute you, and we can have a bit of a conversation. Otherwise, we'll move on to the next tool. I don't see any hands up. I don't know if...
No digital hands?
No digital hands. Okay, well, we might go on to the next one.
Okay, cool. So the next tool that we want to look at today is the Stories tool, which is really, I think, a great tool. It's a powerful tool because you can give your community space really to express themselves, and they can do it not only through using words and just telling the story, but they can actually insert links, and they use photos, videos, so they actually see the same editor that you see as an admin, and they can work with it. So it's quite powerful and gives them lots of autonomy and control. But the last piece of action that is actually waiting there is for you as an admin to accept or reject the story. So you will stay always stay in control. Let's have a look at an example that's actually live. This is from the Royal Women's Hospital site. So they are asking people to share the story about being a parent or becoming a parent, or about giving birth, or just having given birth. So they've enabled the story tool here, and they've already gathered quite a few stories. And the first one is really something that's nice, because you can see here's the story is in the text, and then they can also add a little picture, for example, here of this baby, which is, just shows how the story tool can be used. In order to set this up, let's look at our training site again. As before, we go to the project where we want to enable this tool. So in this case, I've already enabled the tool. It's here, stories. I can rename it, such as our friends from the Royal Women's Hospital have done. They named it Tell Your Story. And if I go into the Manage section, this is where I can configure and set the scene. So there are 3 tabs. There's the Manage Stories tabs, where you can see stories that have been submitted to you. And then there's the Configure tab, which we might want to look at first. So this is where you make a few changes to the overall tool. So firstly, you see that there are 2 radio buttons. So you can choose either between on-site moderation, which means that you as the admin have the burden of having to moderate stories, and by moderate we just mean accept or reject. So if you like a story and you think it's appropriate and it sort of fits into what you want to achieve, you accept it. If not, you just reject it. And there's also the chance, if you have opted in for this, to use our peacekeepers for that. So they will do the job for you. They will look at the story and then either just click on accept or reject. So this is a choice to make here. In the stories, you can actually allow other people to make comments. So if you just have a quick look here, you can see there's 0 comments here, but people would be able to actually comment on somebody else's stories. If that is something you want to use, that's of course up to you. As before, you can also allow unverified participation. And then this editor is really important, because it's where you set the theme for your story, and it's really, it's quite a tricky task to get that sort of first couple of stories in. It's a bit as like being on a party, and you want having your own party, and you want people to dance, and you really have to, as soon as somebody dances, everybody else will join in. But it's the same with the stories. As soon as the first story is there, you will have other people sharing the story, but getting that first story is really quite difficult. So you have to choose your words quite wisely and have a think about how you might want to encourage people to participate. And then also important, by default, this would be blank here, but you can put in a text as a thank you message. So if somebody has submitted a story, they would see this text displayed. And we believe it's really important to give a thank you because it's just nice. It's just a nice thing to do, a nice practice really to have. And then finally, we have also the email configuration. As before, there are 3 different kinds here. So we have the notification that is sent out to an admin when a new story is added. So you as an admin will be notified, okay, there's a story, this is waiting for you to accept or reject if you have obviously selected on-site moderation. There's also the notification that is sent to the user once his story has been accepted. So this obviously, depending on how busy you are or what process you took, this might take a while, so that just gives them another notification that his story is actually online now. And then there's the acknowledgement that is sent to a registered user when he adds a new story. And this is quite important because it says we're going through your story and we'll let you know as soon as we publish it. Because when somebody submits a new story, it doesn't go online straight away. It goes first into the list of stories to be accepted. And for somebody who's not aware of that, there might be a bit, they might think there's a bug, or they might think, oh, this doesn't work, and they try again. So yesterday I just submitted a story already just for you to see how it would look like. So this is a story that it's in the newly added tab, and now I can see there's 2. I can read the story, I can look at the pictures, and there's 2 buttons here. It's either accept or reject. So in this case, I want to accept the story. Should you here now moved into the accepted stories tab. And if I go back to my site, I can see the story has appeared on the site now. So I go into my stories tool, and there it is. If I wanted to submit a new story as a participant, I would click on create a new story. And here you can see that's the editor you as an admin are obviously very aware of. So this is where me as a participant in this case could add my pictures, add my videos, and link to wherever I want to link to. So in this case, I just want to show you what happens when you submit a story. So let's just set one up. I click on create. It says please wait. And there it is. So my story has now been for me to see online, but I can see there's a 20-minute countdown that started. So in these 20 minutes, me as a participant, I can read over my story. I can make changes to it by clicking on edit, or if I'm not happy with it at all, I can just delete it and it will just disappear. And once these 20 minutes have finished, that's when actually the story then moves into your story tool, and then it's for you to accept or reject it. So the participant, there's a 20-minute, at least 20 minutes before the story actually can get published at all. Yeah, and this is how our nice new looking story tool works. If you have any questions, you might want to raise your hand right now, your digital hand. Tracy, is there anything you want to add to this?
No, I think just a point about some of the practice around this. It's stories is a really nice way of gathering quite personal things. So it would be quite wise to think about whether you do want to allow comments in your stories, and it obviously depends on the type of subject. But certainly think about the subject and whether you want it to be open for other people to comment on what are sometimes quite personal stories to people. But otherwise, yeah, I think it's a fantastic way to get some really rich content gathered from the community. Cliff just asked, how does a user add a photo into a story?
Okay.
So if we would go over that. Thanks, Cliff.
Yeah, so let's just go back into edit where we can do this. So the user will see all these formatting options, and then there's an option here that says insert image. So if you just clicked on insert image, it actually gives them the option to upload a picture straight from your computer, or to link to a picture that might already be online. So if I clicked on choose file here, depending on the file size, this will obviously take a while, and there it is. Now I can actually make changes to the size, because this in its original size is a bit big. So I just pull it down, and there it is. I can make changes to it, can enlarge it or make it smaller. And then once I've added this, I would just click on update again, and there it is. Okay, so there's our story tool. Let's move on to the third point on our agenda. That's the quick poll. What I want to focus on the quick poll is really just to show you how to set a quick poll either as a tool or a widget. which is new. So before you were only able to use it as a tool, and EHQ1 you were actually using it as a widget, but now you have the options either or. You can set it as a tool or can set it as a widget on the right hand side. So the way forward here would be to enable the tool as a to enable the quick pull as a tool first. So I click on manage. I see all the tools have been enabled already. I click on quick pull. Now quick pull first, as by default, appears as a tool down here. Now I can go into the manage section. There's one poll that I've set up before. Now important here is the settings tab. And in the settings tab, I can either set it as a tool or I can choose to have it shown as a widget, which I want to do. So I click display and widget, update. Now I can go back to my widgets, because now if I go back to manage just to show you, it has disappeared down here, so it's not a tool anymore, but now it's a quick pull widget here on the right. One step before that actually happens is you have to, before you set it, make it a widget, you have to enable it as a widget. So you would click on manage and then enable quick pull. This will not show in here until you make it, change it from tool to widget, which I've done before. So now it shows as a widget. I can move it around in the order in the hierarchy. And if I clicked on manage, I still have to select which quick pull I actually want to show. So this is quite an easy choice for me today because I only have one on my side, but this is where it will list all the quick pulls you have. I can actually tick the one you want to show. So in this case, I just want to show this. Click on done. If I go back to the side, I refresh, and there it is, appeared as a quick pull on the right. So with quick pulls, as I said, you can either have it on the right as a widget or on the left as a tool, but you can't have both. So there's a bit of a choice to make. So that's really all there is about to the quick pull. It's really, as you can see, it's quite nice and easy to do. I don't see any questions about this or any hands raised, so I might just jump straight into our next point, which is static pages. And this is something I'm quite excited about because this really gives you, as the admin, quite a lot of control over what you can do on the site. So in essence, you can use static pages to do whatever you want to do on the site that is not it's not enabled for you through any widgets or tools. So it really is a blank page. And the way to go ahead and do this is to click on this tab up here which says pages. So if I clicked on here, I can see there are 5 static pages that are already set up by default, and these I can edit, but I cannot delete because they are important to have on the site. If I wanted to add a new static page, I just simply click on add up here, which I've done to set up this static pages example. So I just go into the edit section for now. You can see that's all there is. It's just the title. You give it a title, you can change the permalink, and then in here in the content editor, this is where you can sort of do whatever you want. So it's really just limited by your imaginations. You can even use sort of basic HTML, a bit of JavaScript, see if it works or not, depending on how complicated it is. But this is where you can really do some nice stuff. For example, in this case, I've brought in our corporate website. I'll show you how it looks on the side. So I brought it in, and it's on the side. It's clickable. I can do stuff in here, and this is a way to sort of bring in information that, as I said, don't fit into the tools or widget necessarily, but still have on the side. And the nice thing about this is that you can track your participants actually looking at these pages. Whereas before, if you wanted them to see something that was outside of EngagementHQ, they would go away. They wonder where, you don't know what they're doing, and then they might come back or they might not come back. But in this case, they actually stay on the side. You can track them. You can see what they do, and you can follow the ways and see how effective this actually is. So in this case, I've used this as an iframe. If you look at a real-life example from our friends at Transgrid, they've got 2 static pages set up, and one of them is about Transgrid, and the other one is contact us. So let's have a look at the about Transgrid, and you see it's quite simple but yet effective. So what they've done is they just have a bit of text in here about themselves, and then just included a picture that's rather large. So you can imagine that this the picture in itself would not fit into, for example, a news article. It would not fit in the description part of the project. So the static page really gave them the option to still have that information on the side, but outside of our usual layout. The way to get it into these top bar navigation, that's quite easy too. If I go back into my project, I'll just go to Side and then down to Navigation. And in here I can see there are header links and footer links, which I can now change. So by default, any static page you set up would be located down here, which is the footer that is located down here. If I wanted to drag it up and bring it into the header, I can just simply pull it up and then change the name of the link and then link it to my static page examples. Or in this case, I could also, because it's just a link, I could link it to anywhere else. But in this case, I want to use it for to showcase my static page examples. So I have that; it's automatically saved, and so it appears up here in the header. So these static pages are really a tool that gives you plenty of space to go nuts and do whatever you want with it, really. Tracy, is there anything you want to add to this? Maybe from a practice point of view?
Yeah, we had some quite interesting discussions about the use of these static pages, and similarly, you can add it as a link below. But this might also be a really nice way for people to feedback any information about past projects. And as you mentioned, Joe, perhaps even looking at bringing in any documents that are about the project or about the site in general, instead of having them taking up a lot of space on your intro page, you could potentially, of your hub page, you could potentially use a static page to get all the background into, and then really use the engagement sort of templated pages for engagement purposes quite specifically. So yeah, it's going to be really nice to see how it all works.
Yeah, that's a great point, because these static pages, and if you use them in the header up here, they will appear across your entire site. That's not project specific. Actually, it's across your whole site. So if this is really information you want to give, or want people to see, that no matter which project they're in, they will always see these information up here, or these links up here.
And also probably a point
right,
about,
great.
sorry, yep. Joe, just really quickly, these static pages are, as we said, HTML customer, you use HTML. So you've really just got to make sure that you've got the, I guess, the skill in-house, so you can rely on somebody that can set up the correct HTML formatting and things like that, because it is truly an open space for you to do whatever you need to, or whatever you want to.
Absolutely. Yep.
Any questions from anyone? It's quiet, no digital hands up, so we're just going to keep moving through. Okay, cool.
Yeah. All right, cool. So the fifth point today is related project, and that's really a very simple and but yet effective little widget. So it was a very popular widget in EHQ1, and it's now available in EHQ2 as well. It's a bit different though, because in EHQ1 it was automatically populated by us for you. But now you've got the power to populate it yourself. And the way to do it is it's very straightforward. Again, select the project where you want the widget to show. Then go to the Manage section and enable it. So in this case, I've enabled it earlier, so it's showing here. Again, I can move it around in the order. I can then go into the Manage section where I can change the name. I could hide the title, so hiding title would mean that this red bar would not show. And now I can actually just quickly select which projects I want to show. So I can choose to either just show published projects, which in this case there's only one other, so that would be that one, or I can also show archive project. In EHQ1, these were two different widgets. So there was the one for the archive consultation and the one for the current consultation. But now we can both show it in the same space, and we can also, just by ticking the boxes, actually determine which project we want to show on the site. So this is a really good way to cross-promote projects from one, and getting people from one project to another, or have certain projects that are similar in the nature, similar in the topic, to have bundled together and then cross promote. So this is really easy and effective, and it's something you should definitely use. Our sixth widget today is one that is probably the most complicated one. That's the Instagram feature. So this Instagram, our new Instagram tool, allows you to bring in an Instagram feed into your EHQ2. How you might do it, the same way you might do it with Twitter, to get a Twitter feed or Facebook feed. And the way to do it is this. Firstly, we need to obtain a client ID from Instagram. The way to do it is to, on Instagram, I don't want to go into too much detail here, but it's quite straightforward. So on Instagram, you register with your new normal account, you register as a developer. Once you have done that, you can actually, there will this little section here appear where you can manage clients. And for each site where you want to have an Instagram feed, you just register a new client, which I've done here. And what's important about that is you just give a few information. For example, here you have to give your website URL, so it's really basic stuff. And then what's important here to capture is the client ID, because that's something you need to copy and paste into your EHQ2. And I'll show you where to do this. So if we go back into EHQ2, before we can actually activate our widget, we need to go into Site and then Site Settings. And in here, there's the Advanced tab. And in Advanced, there's a little tick box there that says Enable Instagram. So at the moment, it's disabled. If I enable it, it will pop up. This field will pop up where I can put in my Instagram client ID, which I have done earlier, so it's still saved. You can see that it's the same ID that is in here. So once I've done that, I click on Update, so it's captured. And now I can go back into the project where I want to use my Instagram feed in. I've got the widget down here, so I would, in the Manage section, enable it. And now I can make some changes to my widget. I can give it a name. For example, I could call it Instagram. And then I can have two options here. I can either search by tag or can search by location. In this case, I just want to search by term. Just use Perth. Click on Done. Let's just move it up so it's easy for us to see. Go back to the side, refresh, and there's my Instagram feed. Now you will see these are all pictures that have the tag Perth to it, or the location Perth to it. If I click, so by default there's always going to be 4 shown. The top 4 pictures going to be shown. If I clicked on more, I can actually see more feeds coming in, which of course with Perth would be quite a lot. If I scroll down, there'll be more and more. And this just goes on forever. This is really a nice tool to bring in a bit of, bring pictures to engage with your community really on another level, because Instagram, obviously being quite popular and being all about the picture, this is a really nice tool to use, which we have, for example, also used on our Big Bang site. Here it's the same. We've actually given it our own tag, so the tag was Big Bang 2013 pictures. So all the pictures that were taken during the conference and uploaded to Instagram with that tag now appears on our site, which is quite neat and a nice way to do. Tracy, is there anything you want to add to Instagram, practice-wise?
I just love it. I'm an images person, but I just think the potential for something like this with just the popularity of Instagram and of people using Instagram, and just some crowdsourcing of community space and things like that is fantastic. So I think it will be really nice to see what people come up with when they start to use this in some of the campaigns. But yeah, nifty little thing. Just one thing to note: at the moment, Instagram, the widget doesn't show video, so people that use videos in their Instagram. So I think that's something that we can look at in the future, but for now that is just one of the things that it doesn't do, and that's a new thing on Instagram, or fairly new, where you can use videos, but for now it's just the images.
Cool, awesome. So that concludes our first section of this webinar, which was all about our 6 new features and tools. I might just hand over to Pip. Pip, you're there?
Yeah, I'm here.
All right, cool. So let's see how that works.
Thanks, Joe.
Thanks, Joe. That's cool.
No worries.
Okay, great. I've got the ball.
Don't drop it.
I don't know. Can you see my screen?
We can.
Oh, cool. Okay. So what I want to do today is just take some time to show you through some changes that we've recently made to the reporting section of EHQ2. So I'm going to walk you through a bunch of page screens and show you one or two document downloads. So, you know, hopefully I won't bamboozle you too much. And of course, questions, just type them in or raise your hand, and we'll do what we can to answer them. So here we are on the dashboard. So this is when you first log into admin on your screen, on your site. This is the screen that you would be faced with. There are three different kinds of views that you can have on this dashboard, and the default, the one that you'll see unless you change it, is a view for usage of your site for the last month. And those time frames are set by the calendar. So it's not the last 30 days, but this month would be the month of November. So, and this week will be the week from Monday through to Sunday, not the last 7 days. So we'll just keep it for now on the month view and take you through the figures that we're seeing here. So this is for your whole site. As we go further, we can start drilling down into seeing figures project by project, but for now this is the view, analytics view for your whole site. One of the key things that we've introduced with EHQ2 is, after a lot of thinking and talking about the way we use reporting for our online sort of engagement work, is that we've introduced this new sort of phrasing of aware, informed, and engaged. So we've done a lot of thinking about the way people are using these websites and attributing it into these three categories, thinking that will help make your lives easier in talking about the value and the importance of the work that you're doing. So I'll start just by defining those three phrases. So aware is a picture of all unique visits to your site. So we're making that base statement that if somebody's come along to your site and they've landed here, we think that means that they're aware of your site and of your project. Informed is where a user has taken an extra step. Now there's a whole range of actions, and all of this stuff is documented in our help area, so you can go through to that for more information if you need to. But that second step could be something like going through to a second page. It might be doing something like downloading a document or clicking on a video to view it, something like that. So a user is not just aware, they've actually taken an extra step to learn some more information about the sort of work that you're doing on your site. And engaged is, of course, these guys are the key. So the engaged user is the person who's actually taken the time or been inspired enough to be able to contribute to your site. So where available, they've made a comment, they might have left a story, they might have just agreed or disagreed with somebody else's comment, or they might have completed something like a quick poll, but they've actively participated in your site. So in this, the figures, the site that I'm showing you here today is just my my little pip test site. So you can see that the figures are kind of low, so I apologize for that. But we can see that in the period of this month, that there are 13 unique visitors have been aware. So 13 unique visitors have swung by this site. And that's against 33 for the previous period. Informed, I can see that only 2 of the 13 unique visitors that have come by this month have actually taken a step to go any further. And as far as engaged, it looks like it's just little old Pip that's engaged here, because I'm the one who's running around doing all the testing in this particular site. So one of those 13 engaged, one of those 13 aware users has actually commented, contributed in some way. So again, we can see the value. It's listed against the, activity for the previous period, and we can also see a percentage rise or fall against that figure. So that's aware, informed, and engaged. And again, this is for your whole site. Here we have, in the next section, instead of talking about participation, now here we're talking about community. So in general, we figure that the community is the entire number of aware users. So even if somebody's just dropped by to have a look at your site, we consider that they're part of your community. And again, now for the period, we're giving you figures just to give you a sense at a glance of how you're traveling, I guess, or whether you're at the ebb or the flow of your community engagement. So we can see that for me, that's a negative change. I've got some drop in community, in people joining my community, and so it's a negative growth. So, and again, you'll start to, you'll see these comparative figures and percentage views. If I switch my view to all time, you'll see that the comparative data changes. It disappears, because now I'll be starting to see. So no comparative data, because I'm looking at my figures from my site from all time. So again, now if I've made this change, next time I come back to the site, it will be set for all time. So I just get my standard figures of aware, informed, engaged, and how many community users I have. Okay, so I'm going to flick through and take you now into this, away from the dashboard and into the further analytics section. So this is where it starts to get a bit more cool. I should mention too, just whilst we're still here, that from the dashboard, the document that you can download from here is a PDF. So at the moment, all you can download from the dashboard, because we figure that's all you'd ever want really, is a PDF of that view. There's not enough specific data in there or detailed data for you to warrant a spreadsheet. But as on the page before, anytime you want to download a document, it'll be done from here. And apart from the dashboard, everywhere else, you'll be able to export to PDF, to Excel, or to CSV. So it depends on how much of a data nerd you want to be as to what kind of format you want to download that in. So here we are at the summary section. So again, we've seen from the dashboard point of view, we've seen the overview for the whole site for analytics. But here you can start to see, we can start to select and view data by project. So I can either select all, and again, I can filter by month, by all time, this week, last month. I can even select custom dates. So if I have a specific time period in which I need to query, I can do that too. Anytime I do make a change to these filters, I need to click this purple update button. But so we can just filter by my favorite. We'll go to the Windy Day project. That's one of my favorite testing scenarios. And we might find that this month actually absolutely nothing has happened there, but in any case. So at the top of the page, we're going to have the visual representation of visits. So you can see, gee, November the 20th was a very active day there for the Windy Day project, but really very little else happened. Of course, when you're looking at your own sites, these are going to be dynamic graphs with huge figures. This, again, I'm just warning you, this is just a little test site of mine that I'm showing you the figures for. So in this summary page, I'm showing you that we've got people who are community users, and now we start to work their activity or their level of engagement against frequency. So for the 2 community users that we have, 2 of them, of course, are aware. So that's 100% of them are aware. One of them chose to go further and to investigate further in the site, and none of them have engaged. Now this will be true because in my testing in this site, I am an administrator, and we leave the administrators out of these figures because we figure when you're querying your own data, you don't need to pollute that data with your own activity in the site. So administrators are not included in these numbers. But again, you start to see that the aware, informed, engaged metric is employed wherever we talk about users. So what about those aware people? They've made, on average, or as a median, they make 1 visit for that period. The informed users take 1 action. So again, over different sites, you'll start to see different things. You might start to see that informed users may actually be taking, in one project, where you might have a lot of documents to download, for instance, you might start seeing that your informed users' actions, that figure may start to increase. And you might see that, well, on average, or the median number of actions taken might be 5, because there'll be a lot for them to do there. And so you'll know, judging by your own content, whether or not that's a measure of success or not. So again, if anyone had engaged in here, the same deal would apply for this contributions figure. This would be the median. How many contributions do engaged people tend to make in each visit? So again, we've got this comparative data because we're looking at the month view. So you can see easily, is it rising or is it falling? Is it rising, is it falling? So again, it's just to, how are you tracking against the effort that you're making? If you've just launched, you would expect to start seeing your figures rise. If you're possibly at a, at the 4-week point of a 7-week project, that might be a natural lull, so you might not be surprised to see the figures slightly fall. I'll just scoot on through because we do need to get through. Oh, this is a terrible thing to show you. It would be to say, if I just quickly go in here, I'm just going to set this one up and show you for your say Batman, because at least there are some users in there.
Pip, you've got a little
count back here whilst we're.
Pip, you've got a little countdown clock, top right. You've got to be somewhere in 9 minutes.
Oh, okay, cool.
It's just showing up on the screen.
Oh, yeah, I do too. Sorry, I do have to speak with my dear friends at Adelaide. So participants, again, you're going to start seeing it broken out in terms of whether they're how they are in terms of their awareness, and again, starting to get some more information about, for people who've just dropped by, how many visits, how many times do they come by. For informed users, how many actions will they make as a median action? And then too, in here, you'll start to see detail about those users. So you might start to see that you might start to recognize some familiar users who are informed, and that may help you, because you might go, oh, well, there's some significant members of the community are informed here. I can see that they've done this. Perhaps I can, encourage them to do something else. And again, you'll start to be able to easily identify those users who are engaged. And again, these show hide columns will be about, depending on the data you've set up for your own site, but it will be about show me immediately. You can easily query, show me immediately the users who have engaged with the news articles, the documents. Show me immediately people who have come and completed surveys and forms. So again, it's a very agile kind of framework, I guess, for you, and it's really dependent as much upon the setup that you've got as it is upon the tools that we're giving you here. So I'm just clicking through into information. So as opposed to, this was a page where we would query the work or the actions of the participants, we can also now go via information. So in EHQ2, I'm not sure how many of you have gathered yet, but that information generally will refer to things like documents, photographs, videos, hard content, I guess. So here we are. You can start to query visitors by their visits to the library. The FAQs, again, key dates, photo gallery, video gallery, the Instagram widget. These are the things that we consider to be the information tools. So an easy way for you to come in and check on how usage is tracking against those. And again, they're all about number of visitors, unique, and then how many visits have they made, and on average, how many are made. And scoobing through to the next section, you'll start to see that every single tool where it's used, there will be you're an existing user of our platform, the first version. You'll notice that this is quite a difference to the activity report. So in here, you can easily come and check out, say, for instance, the survey responses. So in here I can view response by response, or I can easily say, for instance, export a spreadsheet, which will show me the detailed view of responses to my survey. So in this one, and this is a pretty nice improvement on the V1 downloads. In this one, you'll notice that we've actually got demographic data associated with the survey response. So now you can start to see that PIP2 is very insistent. She just fills in all the surveys. But if we had been gathering the demographic data about the suburb she lived in, the age, her gender, whatever, we can start to make assumptions about of our survey response, how many females of this age group think this, for instance. We're also providing, if you can see down here, the spreadsheets have gotten a lot more involved, so they're starting to present you with codified data. So as opposed to the raw data, which just lumps it all out into columns, the codified data starts to give you easily analyzable layouts, which in turn can then be fed into third-party analytics tools as well, if that's your thing. So we're also providing graphs for those. So I think a lot of this stuff will help make your lives easier in terms of reporting on the sorts of work that's going on inside your site. So that's a pretty nice example of some great work that I think has been done in terms of improving what's available to you on V2. So to say too that over the next couple of months we've got a kind of a fairly continuous program of improvement to this reporting area, and we're pretty passionate about it too. So your feedback on it and your thoughts about what is useful for you guys is really important to us. So I'd really encourage you to let us know that kind of stuff. Does anybody have any questions about the reporting?
I have no digital hands up, Pip, at the moment. If there aren't any questions, we might wrap this one up. There's one more thing I'd like to show, and I know a couple of people might have dropped off the call now, but this relates to support, etc., for you when you've got any technical issues or things that you want to find out a bit more about. So let me just see if my screen is showing. I might take over from you, Pip.
Oh, here we go. I'll just go change presenter.
Cool.
And Trace, I might go.
Yeah, thank you so much, Pip, for your help and your presentation.
My pleasure. Thanks, everyone.
Cool.
See ya, Pip.
Let me just see. Show my screen. Okay. What I wanted to quickly show everyone before we go, we've just redone our help desk, and it's something that's got a heap of information in and around EHQ2. But it's also a place where we'd like to sort of start getting you to visit, because there's a few new things that we've put in here that will help us help you when you've got perhaps technical glitches or bugs or things that might have come up, or you're not sure how to do something. But it's basically available from the tab. When you're logged into EHQ2, you've got your help and feedback tab in the bottom, and that will take you through to this page here. And really, it's where we've got all of our information on EHQ2, lots of help articles and how-tos. So you can either search for your questions or how to do something in here in your in the search bar, and it will sort of bring up a whole lot of options. Or you can search through the FAQs. So here's a whole lot of stuff here that comes up. But if you do have any issues with anything, click up onto the submit a request, and this is going to pull up a form that gets a whole lot of information from you and really helps us to, at the help desk, get all the information we need. So it asks for your email address, the page you're on, whether you've got a question or a problem, etc. And it lets you attach screens or record screencasts as well. So this is a really great space that we're hoping to nurture a bit more and keep everything up to date. And also we've got to join a discussion place. So if ever there's anything from a methodology or practice area that you kind of want to get some input on, or ask other people who use the software, that's the place to do it. So it's just about going in there and starting starting the discussion. So this page is available off the tab at the bottom of your EHQ space, and we just really encourage you to have a look in there and use it to its fullest potential. And as I said, we'll always be updating it. Okay, so if that's it, thank you so much. I think Dave's left us, so he's just said got to go. But if there's anything else, I'm just checking on last questions. Yeah, I think that's it. I think our job here is done. So thanks everybody for spending the time to be on the call with us. Hopefully it was helpful. We'll try to do more of these as new stuff comes out. And we'll send through a recording of this as well once we've sort of processed it. And we will chat to you all on the other side at some point. Thanks, Joe, and Pip's gone, but thanks for your time in showing us through. So we'll stop the recording. And just to give you the results as well, share the results of which one of these new tools do you like. 25, 50% mapper tool. So we'll see lots of maps coming up, hopefully soon. Cool. All right. Thanks, everyone.
See ya.